Pete Hegseth confirmation hearing was as combative as we expected. And the heaviest blows today were delivered by women regarding a woman's right to serve in combat in this country. Something Trump's defense secretary nominee Pete Hegseth has commented on extensively over the last few years. Hegseth clearly thinks that actual warfare, getting right down into it with the bullets and everything, is something that is better handled by men. Today, he loudly stated, of course, there is a place for women in the military, and of course, they deserve an opportunity to serve in combat if they can make it through the rigorous trials. But when we choose fighters by merit and ability, it appears Hegseth believes that fighting in combat is largely a man's job. Compare combat fighting to elite sports, and you might agree. Think about it this way. In elite sports, we have men's and women's categories because logical people understand women cannot compete with men at that level. Those same physical advantages exist in warfighting, of course, but there's no such thing as men's and women's combat, right? There's just combat, which means we should probably see the same number of women fighting in combat as we see playing in the NBA with LeBron James. And it's not sexist to think this way. It's just not. It's just the truth. It's a harsh truth. Realize that the vast majority of men cannot meet our combat military standards. So it's difficult to think that too many women would when you think about the physicality. Regardless of this honest truth that might be harsh for some, regardless of that, Hegseth was, of course, lambasted today.
Which is it? Why should women in our military, if you were the Secretary of Defense, believe that they would have a fair shot and an equal opportunity to rise through the ranks?
We have hundreds of women who are currently in the infantry, lethal members of our military serving in the infantry, but you degrade them. Please explain these types of statements because they're brutal and they're mean and they disrespect men and women who are willing to die for this country.
Most people watching this, and even these senators themselves, if they could actually be honest with themselves, are more than aware that a woman would struggle to find the same capacity to carry 100 pounds of gear and fight off terrorists in Iraq who were shooting at them with automatic weapons. But today we all had to sit and pretend that there's no physical difference in gender once again. I thought we just had an election to refute all this kind of nonsense. Apparently it didn't take among senators on the left. Democrats spent much of the hearing working to convince Americans that Hegseth wants to collectively ban all women from the entire Defense Department, which of course is outrageous. But of course they had to push that line because they're trying to spoil this confirmation. And it actually got pretty ugly during a lot of it. Democrats were desperate to draw blood. They showed a very ugly side. Tammy Duckworth was reduced to asking Pete Hegseth to name high-level security agreements and the member states of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations at one point.
What is the highest level of international negotiations that you have engaged in, that you have led in? Because the Secretary of Defense does lead international security negotiations. There are three main ones. Can you name one of the three main ones that the Secretary of Defense signs?
You're talking about defense arrangements. I mean, NATO might be one that you're referring to.
Status of Forces Agreement would be one of them. You're not qualified, Mr. Hegseth. Can you name the importance of at least one of the nations in the ASEAN, and what type of agreement we have with at least one of those nations? And how many nations are in ASEAN, by the way? I suggest you do a little homework before you prepare for these types of negotiations.
Do some homework before you prepare for these kinds of negotiations. A quote from Tammy Duckworth. It's worth noting that ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, was formed in Bangkok, Thailand in 1967. Tammy Duckworth was born in Bangkok, Thailand in 1968. Gotcha, Pete. So Pete Hegseth can't name the member states of a dated international coalition on the other side of the world. Okay. I doubt our current president could name 3 countries in the Western Hemisphere. For some reason, Tammy Duckworth never worried about that, though. Neither did any Democrat in Washington. You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt Tonight on Newsmax.